Welcome back, folks. The video clip, it just reached its limit. So I'm going to continue summarizing. We already got the main part of the oracle, if you call it, or the repository of wisdom, the lesson, okay, of wisdom accomplished. Now, all I'm going to do here is just read you again the summary. Okay, I'll take the summary one more time, and then we'll proceed to the next lesson. Okay. So let's go through this quickly. People have strengths. Master Singyung is writing. Okay. People have both strength and shortcomings. As long as we know how to make use of their strengths, even brittle metal can be forged into steel. The keys in making use of the talents of others not only apply at work, but also in the family between parents and children or between siblings. People who are doing well in their career, okay, successful folks, either in very large businesses or in politics, need to be skillful in employing the skills of their employees or subordinates. There are many methods available, okay? Besides cherishing the talents of others and using them appropriately, we ourselves need to be well educated, okay, well cultivated in our morals, so those working for us will respect and admire us, okay? According to the saying, knowing how to read people is not as good as knowing how to use them well. Okay? Must be good at working with people. Okay? Knowing how to use people well is not as good as knowing how to conduct ourselves. Knowing how to use people well is not as good as knowing how to conduct ourselves. So self-conduct is the best of them all. Okay. Now, folks, what I really need you guys to do is just like take these things, it's just a quick session here, picking points, pick these main points, take it back to your temples of peace and quiet, or temples of serenity, temples of tranquility, temples of, your private space, your private temples, your private, you call it heaven, where you practice your meditation. I have mine. I practice my meditation in a very quiet place. So you take these resources of wisdom and knowledge and enlightenment back to your private space. And then in your practice of meditation, you go through the points. This is really the whole thing. You are not to necessarily remember every detail of what has been said, but you can keep revisiting. You can revisit it again and again to pick out points of wisdom that you lack, or points of wisdom that you need to cultivate, or you need to remember real quick to practice your meditation. Let me tell you one thing. See, the goal of life is perfection. Whether as a scholar, whether as a businessman, in order to perfect ourselves, we have to improve ourselves. That's why all this wisdom is so important. They are so important because we use them. It's like climbing the staircase to your own self. We are gods in the chrysalis. Jesus Christ says it in John chapter 10:34. You are gods, but what kind of gods are we? Lazy ones, idle ones, ignorant gods, or sleeping gods? You see? So we are gods, quite right, Jesus Christ says. Mencius defends that in his philosophy. Mencius says that all human beings are fundamentally good. Mencius is the greatest follower of Confucius. And he argues that goodness, the fundamental goodness of human beings, is like gravity. So when you give birth to a baby is born perfect with no blemishes. But how do we keep the perfection? We don't keep the perfection, then we fall from the state of being perfect. Mencius gives it in a very fantastic, you can call it proverb or proverbial oracle. The trees of the new mountain. You remember the trees of the new mountain were once beautiful? And then the people in the area, the city, close to the city, they came and cut down the trees and messed up the whole trees and defaced it and ruined it because they needed the wood. So Mencius was not happy at all at the state of the new mountain, the tree of the new. Okay, and he says this is how the fundamental nature of human beings is destroyed. I memorized that new mountain tree in those days, right? When I was really in the 90s, when I really was, memorizing through the whole of Confucius. And that's why I remember it so well today. Okay, so Mencius, he really takes that position in dealing with human nature. Okay, how the fundamental goodness of human beings is lost. Because human beings don't care so much. When you don't care so much for the goodness, the perfection that you have, Jesus Christ, telling us this clearly in John chapter 10, verse 34, we are gods, Jesus Christ says. Jesus Christ didn't only tell them that they are gods, we are all gods. Jesus Christ says you are gods, John chapter 10, verse 34, clearly. But then he says again that I call you friends. I don't call you servants. I hope you understand the meaning of friends. So Jesus Christ said, we are gods like unto him. Jesus Christ said in the Bible clearly, we are friends. We are friends. Right? If Jesus Christ considered himself to be above us, then he would have said, you are my servants, or you are my slaves. But Jesus Christ said, no, he rejected that statement. He said, I call you friends. We are the associates of Christ. Okay, he made all this clear in the Bible. This is not a Bible session, okay? So I'm not going to go. I've authored the Holy Bible and published one to be sure that I'm an authority of what I'm saying. And if you want to read my Bible, you can go on the Google and Google Aburime Bible. I need to show you my Bible, and it's New Testament. So everything I'm talking about, I know precisely what I'm talking about. Precisely. I'm an authority of what I'm talking about. So Jesus Christ said, ye are gods. And not just ye are gods, but I call you friends. And I'm trying to make clear what that means. That means Jesus Christ said, you are gods, and you are gods at my level. At my level. Come and sit at the high table. Do you understand? Jesus Christ didn't say, I call you gods, but then you are gods, rat gods, or, squirrel gods. You are gods at... No, Jesus Christ said, I call you... He said, you are gods, John chapter 10, verse 34, and I call you friends. You are gods that associate with me. Come and sit at the table with Christ. You understand that now? But Mencius then says, if you understand the philosophy of Mencius as well, Mencius then says, in order to sit at the table with Christ, you have to know how to preserve the fundamental goodness that we have. That's why we study. That's why scholars, that's why you must study. You must devour your notes, devour this very system, all these words of the great Master Sengyun. That's why they are golden. That's why they are a treasure. They are so valuable. If you master these collections of Master Sengyun, and you know what Master Sengyun is talking about in this library, in this collection, you mastered it the way Mencius said we should do to wisdom when we find it, then you'll be qualified to sit at that table with Christ that Christ is talking about. You see? So you are gods, but then you have to be able to be really friends with Christ. You must be at the level of wisdom. You should not be ignorant gods, idle gods, lazy gods, foolish gods, sleeping gods, unqualified gods. Because that, you see, the gods that Jesus Christ is talking about has to have some kind of qualification. So it depends on the conduct of the human beings. Gods, but the gods are not willing to delve into wisdom. What kind of gods are those? Gods, but they are not willing to study. They are lazy and idle. Those are not the kind of gods. So, you have to be able to preserve the fundamental goodness of humankind. So if you really want to understand the gods that Jesus Christ is talking about real good, you need to read the philosophy of Mencius and understand the philosophy of Mencius. See, they are synonymous. They are connected. The philosophy of Mencius tells you how to preserve the fundamental goodness of humankind by studying, by marring your books, which then purifies you and keeps you at a certain level, and then you qualify by being on that level to sit at the table with Christ as friends with Christ. So there's a responsibility. That's I think the point. That's a responsibility. So students, it's in your meditation, I'll say you should probably have gone beyond where I should have stopped. But you need to read these points of wisdom and meditate on these points of wisdom. Okay. Namo Amitofo.